We should be live. This is the moment where we're normally quite quiet, just in case. I got settings, I can't even turn chat off. We're gonna go off a leap of faith here and just say we're live. Says we're all live, we're all good to go. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Inters Racing League Season 7. Welcome to Tier 1 and welcome to Round 8 here for the Dutch Grand Prix here in Zandvoort. Here for what should be some fantastic action on display. I am your main and single commentator here this afternoon, Jamie Perry on the mic. And 17 minutes left in qualifying. We're just getting underway now. Every single driver in their pit box, in the pit lane, all just slowly but surely making their decisions on their setup before eventually making their way out onto the circuit. And the first to do of many to follow will be the Alpine of Riz WRC in P16. Alpine swiveling left and right to get some temperature into the tyres around the rounded off pit exit line and pit exit overall before eventually that Alpine does set off in P16 and around this fantastically historic circuit that we now go racing out flat to the floor for himself as well. Let's get some information for you lovely people up because we obviously can't go unable on any of that. That is the wrong information to take off. There we go. And then we do that. And then we're good to go. Lovely jubbly. So there you can see the Alpine of Riz WRC currently on his outlap and just starting to get a little bit more temperature into his tyres and overall get a better idea of the circuit as well. Not too many people going for the intermediates. So clearly a little bit more confidence for these drivers. Obviously we are in Tier 1. The most competitive lineup of drivers that we have here in Inters Racing League. So should be an interesting one ahead of us here in qualifying. Obviously not that long ago did Down Under Racing League in qualifying, so that should also be a good little comparison I can make to it and see kind of where the pace kind of lies in between. We're obviously now here in round 8. The championship has changed a little bit since last time I commentated on. Websy still leading the championship with Meowsy in P2 by 48 points is the deficit, so Websy once again doing a good job in that McLaren and showing his pace and his dominance on circuit. Here goes the Alpine, however, of Riz WRC. So that Alpine currently trailing along, going through into turn 3 into the banking before eventually going up in elevation just by a slight incline. And then you go through turns 4, 5, and 6 before eventually going into 7, which he's going through now. Avoid the curb on the inside, but use as much on the outside without unsettling the car due to the floor. Then downshift to 3rd gear, which the Alpine does absolutely to perfection. Then round off going into turn number 10, and then you get your next DRS activation point for that rear wing to open, allowing for a little bit more aerodynamics to flow through the car. Purple through the second sector, though no shock with that one as he is the first one on a fast lap so far. Now he's flat to the floor, pedal to metal out of the exit of turn 12 going into turn 13, and then from here on out you stay flat to the floor all the way to the timing line, round off the next couple of corners, and now it is all the way to that line and is a 109.380 to get us started here in qualifying, and quite a competitive lap time for someone who's only done a single lap so far. Actually shows you kind of the deficit in pace that we have throughout the tiers. A 111.311 for Jerabot in P2, and the McLaren doesn't seem to have the pace in comparison to the Alpine, and Apollo Pepsi only managing a 10.102 on his first run on what is the C3 soft compound tyres. We have the C1s, 2s and 3s, so the hardest in the Pirelli range, so we should get a little bit more endurance out of these tyres. However, we also get high temps and degradation due to the elevation and banking changes that you get here at Zandvoort. GLX Cam and the Ferrari goes up to P3 with a 109.570, and Aiden Riziums goes up to P1 and the Haas a 109.013. Now, what I will do now, because I haven't been doing it, let's get chat only mode up so we can just focus on you lovely people. Hello everyone, welcome into the chat. Lil Sheldon, Buster, Meowsy, I see all of you kind of chatting away here. Broseph Coop as well, good to see you all in the Twitch chat. It is I mean, you are technically my co-commentators today here, ladies and gentlemen. Listen, I am all by myself here in the comms box, so you are my communication. You are my information that you give to me. So anything that you'd like to discuss, and most of the time I will pick up and have a nice little look at. Kick Salva of Senior Joshi, currently in P16, purple through the first sector, green and black car, looking to get a nice little bit amount of momentum going through the track map, going through into into turns number 9 and eventually 10, which then you round off, as we mentioned before, into the DRS zone. A little bit of ERS being used as well. However, a lot of drivers may be making a bit of a decision just to allow it to be done more on an automatic mode, just meaning they don't have to worry about ERS. It will just kind of play out as they do their lap time, entering into the third and final sector, into turns 13 and 14, and later on I may give a nice little go at some of those Dutch corner names for my family's sake, so we can have a little bit on that side. Of 109.452 for Senior Joshi, who does actually quite a solid lap time still. However, Aiden Rizium still beating anyone else so far on his banker lap. He's done 2 laps on those soft compound tyres. 109.013. No one's been able to break into the 108, but I do expect, seeing that we still have 12 minutes remaining, it's the first laps out for these drivers, that we are going to see a few 108s breaking into the limelight later into qualifying as we start to reach the near end of it. Websy, our championship leader, the McLaren at 24.281 in the second sector, or more specifically the first. Aiden Riziums improves on his time and now does go into the 108, so that Haas driver really starting to set a lap, or at least a couple of laps alight there. He's on 3-lap old soft compound tyres, still finding the pace. However, how can Websy improve upon that? Entering into the third and final sector and across the line will set down a 108.985, so also breaks into the 108 on his first lap time out, so clearly has a slight pace advantage above some of the other drivers, which doesn't shock us as he is the championship leader, and he's the championship leader by a decent deficit, 48 points as said previously, against Meowsy Gaming in the Ferrari, so he's definitely got the season in his favour so far, and only managing P2, like we mentioned, only 1 lap done on those tyres. Aiden Rizium's needing to put a little bit more effort into those, which may affect him later into the race if he does want to use a set of those soft compound tyres at a later date. Aussie 2K go to cross the line. Mercedes only going P15, a 111.084, and go through there. Little Sheldon said before, JP, I will hop on if you want. I thought you said you were unavailable, sir. That is quite disappointing. Anyway, what you can do, if you'd love to chill in comms box with me, here's what we can do. You need to go into comms box with me. I apologise for the blue screen, but we may as well get it done. F1 back up, because everyone wants to see that over a blue screen with a bunch of moving symbols. I'm going to go into the PS app, so then you don't have to leave your eyes. Let's go on board with Salisbury here in the Haas. Second sector, currently looking to find any type of improvement, a 109.342 for the time being. P5 for the American constructor, but is currently on a new set of those C3 soft compound tyres. So now what we'll do is go to Discord. Little Sheldon. Well, oh. Okay, I have to break a big... I'm not on PS5, Little Sheldon. Oh no. Oh, he's on Xbox. He's on Xbox, not PlayStation, and I'm on a PS4. Who's gonna break the news to him? Alright, well, it doesn't look like Lewis Sheldon will be able to join me, at least for the time being. So we'll get back to the action out on circuit. 8 minutes 35 currently ticking down here. Apologies for the radio silence that we've had here in qualifying. Obviously, you know me, I'm not normally nice, loud, and consistent, but single man in the box today, and just trying to sort if we can get some co-coms done. But Lewis Sheldon's on Xbox, and I'm on PS4, so I can't actually run through Discord. It's unfortunate. Invite to Meowsy, please. Okay, let me get one to Meowsy for you then. I should have Meowsy as a friend. See what I'm dealing with here? I'm dealing with a bunch of things going in at once, but hopefully we can just have a great time here in the comms box. Where are you, Meowsy? I hope I have you. There we go. Bosh. Alrighty. Sawsady in the Haas, 1 lap old tyres, a 109.131, clearly improving on his time, but only goes P5 on the board. Yusuf Goat on a new set of tyres, currently going off of his outlap and onto his fast lap here. So let's go on board with Yusuf Goat. As you can see, has AF1H to his name, so clearly joining some type of team or at least some type of group to help with this pace and overall just consistency and competitiveness when it comes to league racing and competitive events. Going into turn 7 and eventually 8, using a lot of the curb there and maximizing the circuit. May have even been helped by that team he may have joined. We'll have to wait and see. Maybe we'll even get to have a nice little chat with him in the interview room after the race is concluded. That really is up to him later down the line. However, weaving left and right, and his battery is at 100%, so I do doubt that he is actually pushing it, and he's 2 seconds down on his time, so not exactly pushing it to the limits at the moment. Websy in P2 with a 108.985, and that was on his first run out. Here on his second run out with 6 minutes 50 on the clock. The McLaren currently entering into the third and final sector into turns 13 and 14. Gets the DRS detection before the DRS is opened midway through the corner, which can cause a little bit of porpoising and floor damage, but not too much of a problem when it comes to virtual racing. Improvements found for Websy, increases to a 108.884, however not fast enough to beat out Aiden Riziums, who still stays in P1 in the Haas car. So still feeling nice and confident so far for the American constructor, and overall quite happy in his position. Let's go down to McJammy Dodge, who obviously we gave an invite to so he could rejoin into the session. Sheldon, I'd love to do comms with you, man, but you're not on PlayStation. I'm in a tricky situation when it comes to commentating with you. If you're on PS, then this is great, but I don't know. 48.125 for the Ferrari driver. The Scuderia now enters into the third and final. The prancing horses prancing along here, as I like to say usually, along those lines. Going into turn 13, has a little bit of traffic up ahead, may be able to use it for a bit more of a slipstream in tow. However, that car ahead going into the pit lane, and the Ferrari crossing a line, a 108.981. Can't beat out Websy. It is very close margins in this top 3, and McJammy Dodge goes P4 before eventually being beaten out by the V-Carb with the 108.754. Incredible lap time being set down by Yusuf Goat, and once again just shows you a man who can have so much inconsistencies in his race. And I don't mean to offend the driver, but he's great in qualifying, and he's had some fantastic results obviously throughout the season. I mean, let's go through it. Round 1, it was Websy who picked up the win, but he picked up P2. Unfortunately in Bahrain in round 2 he picked up Okay, let's skip over that because that wasn't a great position. And then if we go to round 3, here's the problem. I can't even see him inside the top 10 in some of these results. And I think the point that this makes above anything else is he's a great qualifier, he's a great driver, he's competitive, he knows how to race competitively, but he just lacks that consistency time and time again, at least from what I'm seeing on the results side. There's obviously things that can happen that is out of his control, like having contact with another driver, or if there's, you know, maybe a tyre puncture in some type of situation, but it does seem in the situation for Yusuf Goat, it is just inconsistencies on his side, and, you know, maybe if he's able to do not only just well in qualifying and get a blisteringly fast lap time and set down on pole position, but then also keep that consistency, constantly get those good results. So it isn't P2 at one round, but then it's P7 in another, and then it's not, P3 in one round, and then it's P12 in another. If he can keep that consistency, then he can really find the championship. It's just most likely not going to happen this season, as right now Yusuf Goat finds himself P4, so still not too bad on his side. In terms of P1, he still hasn't picked up any of that. He's had one P2, two P3s, he's had a couple of fastest laps, and a few DNFs at this stage. But overall, actually no, sorry, that's the driver ahead. He actually hasn't picked up any DNF, so fair play to Yusuf. But he has had 3 penalty points put against his name, so a few issues with the stewards on his side. So on Yusuf Goat's side, he definitely can be a future competitor, especially in terms of the championship, but he's barely broken into the top 5, so Broseph Coop says he's been due a run like this. It's been building. I mean, you're right. It's very true. Yusuf Goat definitely has that pace on his side. He definitely can be that competitive driver that we have, clearly seen time and time again in qualifying in certain situations and certain races. It's just missing that consistency. And I do believe, especially in this stage of the season, in this stage of the championship, even if he picks up a race win, and even if he starts to pick up that pace, you still have drivers like Websy, and you still have drivers like Aiden Riziums, and, you have, for example, let's say, Meowsy as well, Finns in the Williams, those guys have just put in a little bit more consistency than what Yusuf has, and all they have to do, if, let's say, Yusuf starts winning every race, is still finish in P2 and P3, and even in the top 5 for that matter, and keep that consistency that we've known from them, and they'll still pick up those championship points, and still most likely pick up the championship. Apollo Pepsi, by the way, has been doing this lap in the background. Red Bull coming across the line, it's only going to be a 14.824. Now, he wasn't exactly pushing it to the limit, and the team from Milton Keynes most likely will be putting a little bit more effort this time round in the Red Bull. Going a little further down, the letter P in the Williams, currently P17, and going through the first couple of corners, getting going on his fast lap. But how about we go towards the front of the field? Aiden Riziums in the Haas second sector, and 60 milliseconds improvement here. Purple in the first sector for the Haas driver, so he's definitely setting a lap alight at the moment, with Websy currently in P3. McJammy Dodge in the Ferrari, just getting going on his fast lap, so we'll come back to him. Let's focus here on the Haas in the top 2, maybe looking to try and sneak out and get up into pole position. He is directly competing with Yusuf Goat in P1, who actually set down quite a competitive lap time by a single millisecond, because if you do look at their current times, one is a 108.754, the other is a 108.755, so 1 millisecond separated between the two, and once again shows you how close and tight it can be in Tier 1. How can Aiden Rizium separate themselves? However, not on this occasion. It's going to be a 111.246, and must have backed out of it going into the third sector, not feeling the confidence. He's only going to have half his hybrid system than what he had previously, so is the Haas still going to be pushing along here? I'm unsure, but if pole position is set by 1 millisecond, that is quite a sight for sore eyes. But let's go through the field once again. We have McJammy Dodge going into the last couple of corners. Websy just getting going in the first sector, but approaching into the second. The Ferrari coming across the line with 25 seconds remaining. 1 second down. So a lot of these drivers not finding improvements, and also just overall backing out of their lap times. Staying competitive through the first part, and then deciding, I'm not happy with my lap time. I'm not happy with how this lap has gone. I'm not happy with maybe how I took this certain turn, or how I went over this certain curb, and then backing out of it, and then getting going once again later down the line. So Ferrari now a 10th and a half up, and McJammy Dodge clearly starting to push the limit just a little bit further than what he was previously. First person across the line, also equal with Jared Bott. So McLaren will start P20 with checkered flag in the V-Carb, starting P6. Farmer Sam across the line, only managing P7 with a 109.2 flat. Sir Joshi in the kick salver backing out of it with checkered flag already waved, so his qualifying is done. Same for Tyler FF in the Aston Martin. Riz WRC won't be finding any further improvement. 7.2 seconds down is K5 M5. GLX Cam and the Ferraris backed out of it. KLX and the Mercedes is still trailing along here, but he's still got majority of his hybrid system, so he shouldn't be finding too much improvement on his side. Liquid Jake in the Williams, currently P18. McJammy Dodge in the Ferrari, setting down a fantastic lap time to set down in P1. Even on 2-lap hold soft compound tyres, he really just snuck it in there by the nick of time. That is a 108.707, and still close margins, well and truly under a tenth. That's half a tenth separated between P1 and P2. Once again, showing you how close Tier 1 can be at the best of its ability. Riz WRC only managing P12 by the end of it, going slow for the remainder of his final run out, and Ferrari invalidating on his final run out here. GLX Cam will only manage P14, and everyone else across the checkered flag or back into the pit lane. It is going to be McJammy Dodge on pole position with a very close margin between P2 and P3. Aiden Riziums and Yusuf Goat separated by 1 millisecond, with V-Carb on P2 and Hassan P3. McJammy Dodge does take pole position, however, and the prancing horses do step onto that top step for the time being. Provisionally, they are now in the race lead. However, there is still an entire race to go, and it should be an incredible one ahead of us. So, for 50% distance, 36 laps ahead of us with a 4.259 kilometer circuit. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Those are your provisional timings. McJammy Dodge in P1 with a 108.707. We'll have to wait and see if the stewards want to do anything about it, but between the top three, it is separated by 48 milliseconds. That is how close the margins got. However, starts to separate with Websy in P4 by nearly 0.2 of a second, so your championship leader not beating it out by a huge margin, and a few Mercedes drivers who have done well throughout the season not doing so well this time around. KLX P15, Aussie 2K Goat only P11, but we know how Aussie 2K can always come through the field, so we'll have to wait and see how he improves through there later down the line. So Battlecat just got off a plane, joins in quali and P1. What a legend. And yeah, incredible effort from the man who's now on pole position, of course, McJammy Dodge or Meowsy for that. Obviously, he is the direct competitor to Websy in the championship. 48 points is the margin, so he has a little bit of cutting down to do. Websy is not your champion yet. We still have plenty of rounds left in the championship. It's only round 8. We're here at Zandvoort, and now it is Meowsy who wants to try and steal back some of those points that may have been lost out in previous races. Meowsy is yet to DNF. He's also had no penalty points against his name, a few pole positions, a few fastest laps, and a few driver of the days. However, he's still yet to elude himself, get down that gap between the two in the championship, and maybe put a bit more of a fight on. He's had 2 wins to his name, 2 P2s. Overall, he's had 4 podiums and plenty of top 5s as well. However, Websy beats him out by a single win with the same amount of P2s, so it is Websy with 5 podiums with Meowsy on 4 podiums. Finns is another 50 points behind. I believe that is interval gap to Meowsy. No, actually, that would be leader gap, so 50 points behind Websy. But enough about the championship, ladies and gentlemen. I'm yapping along here. We know what's happening. It's time for the race. It's time for racing action. It's time for these drivers to do exactly what they do best here in Tier 1, and that is to light up with entertainment for Intis Racing League, for the fans in the grandstands, for the fans here in the Twitch chat, and give everyone a nice buck for their money. However, the pit crews have stretched. They're ready to go. The drivers are on the grid, they've set down their times, they've placed their final positions, and there is only one thing left to do, and that is to go racing. Stewards are on the ready for any type of incident that may occur going into turn 1. It's a tough one, it's banked, it's tight, especially on the inside line. You want to avoid that curb, but finally 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights. The lights go out and it's pedal to metal here in Zandvoort. It's a terrible getaway by Yusuf Goat, who immediately falls down multiple positions. Aiden Riziums on the outside, switching to the inside, is now up to P2. Checkered flag, his teammate against what is Yusuf Goat, now fighting in the top 5, going wheel to wheel, 2 abreast, going into turn 3 with a McLaren of Websy. The championship leader also not getting the best getaway, but now it is the V-Carb on the outside line, looking for a good opportunity to potentially make the move stick. Can't get it done, but now has the inside going into turn 7 and has an opening, potentially gets what he needs done, but McLaren on the outside got the throttle down just a slight amount sooner on, and eventually the V-Carb needs to concede, but not yet, continuing to fight away. Eventually and not on this lap, but next lap around, there'll be DRS. It would be VCarb's opportunity to potentially come back at him, but not this time round. Needing to concede eventually, Aston Martin goes up to P5, Websy P4, and it is McJammy Dodge with the best getaway out of them all. The Ferrari stays in P1 with Aiden Rizium still trying to copy him down and try and get a good opportunity to go into the race lead. His teammate Sorzity takes over into P3. It's a Haas 2-3. It is now the V-Carb of Yusuf Goat all the way down to P11. Liquid Jake holds on to the top 10 with K5, M5 in the Alpine. In P9, Sir Joshi in the Kick Sauber goes up into P8 with Tyler FF going around the outside. Swift, an easy move for the British constructor without too many hassles to bother him. Checkered flag in the V-Carb in P6, slowly but surely pulling away here, and it's the Aston Martin of Farmer Sam who closes into the top 5, looking to try and bring on the fight for Websy. This is exactly what Meowsy needs in the championship. The more he can stay in P1 and the further down Websy is, will continue to help to bring down that championship gap and give a little bit more of a fight for these drivers here on circuit. And Tier 1 well and truly underway here, racing well and truly underway here at Zandvoort, and it's been a great getaway from few and a worse one for others. Let's have a look at the positions at the moment. You can see 9 positions lower is Yusuf Goat in the V-Car, 4 positions higher, K5, M5, a few 2 positions for Tyler FF, Farmer Sam. The Astons doing well to make their way through the field, but another one making his way through the field is Aiden Riziums. Took the fastest lap before Farmer Sam on the soft compound tyres, took it back, and that is then snatched by Apollo Pepsi with a 1:11.457. So now Apollo Pepsi in the Red Bull down in P13 and eventually 14 as well, still making a few positions from where he started on the grid, now takes that fastest lap. But in other ways, it is the Haas of Aiden Riziums who now takes the race lead away from McJammy Dodge and brings himself a little bit closer, actually equal in terms of positions on the gap between him and Websy, with Aiden Riziums looking to try and pull away a little bit further. 2.5, nearly 3/10 is the deficit between those two, and you can see how technically challenging the handling is at a place like Zandvoort, not giving anyone a good opportunity for them to make an overtake, at least swiftly by any means. And Sorzity in the Haas still managing to finish up in the top 3 and potentially apply a little bit more pressure if Aiden Riziums is looking to try and give a handout to his teammate. But for the time being, they stay exactly where they are. For the time being, 36 laps of action, a long race ahead of us, and a fantastically entertaining one as well. DRS train well and truly formed all the way down to P13 is where that DRS train ends. The Red Bull of Apollo Pepsi still 2 positions higher than where they were previously, and it is now Tyler FF and the Aston Martin continuing to go wheel to wheel with the V-Car. A checkered flag, slight contact made to the left-hand side of the Aston Martin. Eventually gets a nice opening using that outside line of the banking to re-pass the Kick Sauber that momentarily got past the Aston Martin and try and re-hunt down the V-Carb that overtook him and made slight contact. Checkered flag now holds the flag for V-Carb and tries to lead this team to a better position due to Yusuf Goat missing out big time down at P11, and those are the inconsistencies we are talking about. Yusuf Goat wants this opportunity to potentially not only be on a podium or P2 or P3, he wants to win a race, but he won't be able to do it until he can increase on his consistency and show a little bit more pace on his side. Like I said, I don't mean any offense to any of these drivers. All of them are much faster than me, and I would do a terrible job in, comparison. But at the end of the day, the scores still say the same. The paper says what is put down, and in the case for Yusuf Goat, he has a little bit more improvement on his side to get up into that championship contender status. Right now, the Aston Martin of Tyler FF in P7, 2 laps higher than where he started, and Aston Martin still trying to drag along using the slipstream in tow in this long DRS train, which obviously still invites Sir Joshi in the Kick Sauber. So the DRS train starting to break off a little bit further now, but still inside the top 10 and still well and truly giving a lot of drivers a nice opportunity at the moment. Tyres, please, JP. Yeah, I got you, man. And that is tyres for you, ladies and gentlemen. A few drivers near the very back of the field on the hard compound. The C1s, 2s, and 3s, as we said before, the hardest in the Pirelli range. A few, at least majority, are on those C2 mediums, with a few sneaking onto those C3 soft compound tyres. A mixture of different strategy choices being played out here at Zandvoort today. And really does start to intrigue some of these people throughout the Dutch circuit on who may be taking what position due to the tyres that they have gone on. Sorzady will be boxing earlier than his teammate of Aiden Riziums, and look at the contact being made here through the front end of the field. Aston Martin of Farmer Sam bumping and scruffing his way through the field. Needs to be a little careful in terms of penalties and what may flow in his direction. McJammy Dodge, in just a moment of racing, falling down to P4 and is now neck and neck once again with this championship contender. It is McJammy Dodge in P2. It is Websy in P1. Websy needs to make his way through the field. He's on those medium compound tyres, realistically going for a little bit more of an overcut strategy and preferring to go on some slightly newer and softer tyres later into the race that may help him in terms of overall grip and overall pace, due to the fact that he's gone on softer tyres later into the race and may be undercut by a few drivers. However, will be most likely able to re-overtake due to the tyre choice that he went on. So McLaren in P5, but may have an overall better advantage near towards the end of the race. Like we said, 36 laps of action, so still a long one ahead of us, but we've got 30 laps ticking down, now going down to 29, and Aston Martin of Farmer Sam absolutely getting a fantastic view of the racing ahead, and well, I don't think I need to say too much on that side. Aston Martin braking way too late, locking his front end of the car, and also the V-carb of Yusuf Goat making slight contact with the Aston Martin. It will be Yusuf Goat taking the inside line, going into the banking. Aston Martin falls down further positions. He has front wing damage. Let's try and see where on the car that may be, and maybe I was seeing something. Could have been a driver out in front, but the two Haas drivers tussling for positions had the Aston Martin go right into the rear diffuser of Sorzady, and it went completely wrong in the direction of probably what the Aston Martin wanted. And yeah, like I said, unfortunately just way too late on the brake, couldn't back out of it, and now Tyler FF needs to fight through the field all over again. So unfortunate for the Aston Martin. Farmer Sam, says Devastator with a skull emoji, and now down to P9. And maybe it was Farmer Sam who we were looking at. No, it wouldn't. It was still for Tyler FF from what I saw. However, Farmer Sam is now... Actually, no, sorry. I got these Aston Martins mixed around. It was Farmer Sam who went on the move against the Haas drivers. It was Tyler FF who was completely clean and fair. So my apologies if I got the words and names mixed up there. Farmer Sam, however, going up to P7 with McJammy Dodge making quite an early pit stop on those medium compound tyres. And he is missing an end plate, however, so he is getting a switch in his front wing on a new set of the hard compound tyres. So the white-walled, or at least white side-walled tyres now being put on for the Ferrari driver, and the Scuderia will be going most likely to the end of the race on those tyres, or at least a majority of the distance. What I can only assume would be a switch is if he had a potential safety car to give him that helping hand, or even a VSC for that matter, to make him a few positions if he were to box. But I doubt any type of maneuver like that will be done if there is no safety car or a VSC to be brought out. And I understand I am definitely yapping at the moment. I'm waffling along here. Half the time I don't know what I'm talking about. This is the disadvantage of being all alone in the comms box, ladies and gentlemen. Twitch chat, you guys, the people who constantly chat along and type with their digital keyboards, you are my co-commentators for today. Lil Sheldon was going to join me, however he's on Xbox, so there's complications. And I'm on PS4, so I can't join a Discord VC, so, you know, I'm poor, me, I've heard the whole thing before. Sorzady in P2 on the 8-lap-old soft compound C3s, currently looking to try and close down on his teammate, or maybe looking to try and keep some type of close deficit, but nothing too close to poor JP, old JP. Was good fun other than you spinning my team. We love the Twitch chat. Great interactions. I'm definitely not being called an L here, but cheers to that. I need a drink. Right, lap 9, of 36. It is Sorzady with now a 5.5 tenths deficit, now bringing it back down to a 4.5 tenths deficit to his teammate in P1. Aiden Rizium's continuing to lead this race out here at Zandvoort, but is Sorzady looking for an opportunity to potentially make a move against Aiden Rizium's, or is he more just trailing behind him, allowing his teammate to stay out in front, or is Team Racing allowed to be put in? That seemed to be a little bit of a lift off the throttle there. He only managed to get up to 7th gear, and down the pit straight you can easily get up to 8th. So clearly there's been a little bit of teamwork being done by the Haas drivers. They want to keep using DRS between the two, but Sorzady seems to be slightly more competitive overall lap time wise, seems to be slightly faster than Aiden Rizium's, and may want a window to potentially overtake him, but we'll have to wait and see if there's any type of communication between the two Haas drivers. Sorzady's already backed out of it, so there could be that already, and just one helping out one more than the other. I mean, Sorzady's still getting DRS, but he is starting to be attacked from behind by Websy in the McLaren, who had quite a poor getaway off the line and has made his way through the field. One man who also has been doing the same with just less positions is Yusuf Goat in the V-Carb, up to P8, so like I said, still doing a great effort, making his way through the field, showing his pace through this midfield part of the grid, and looking to try and get back up onto the podium positions. McLaren of Websy now with DRS open, won't get that opening, but finally Sorzady has the window he was looking for, looked to be maybe staying behind his teammate, but eventually does make the fourth going position to go up into the race lead, and first time Sorzady goes up into the Dutch Grand Prix race lead, so good job from the Haas team. Just overall, they've been doing well, switching between positions, allowing themselves to both get DRS to the best of their ability. Overall, two different strategies which may work out, from what I can only assume, using my SRC tyre information, might work better for Aiden Rizium's. I mean, he's going longer on his tyres. He'll most likely box after Sorzady does. Sorzady will then go for the undercut, and then using that situation, Aiden Rizium's will go into the pit stop later into his stint. Then he'll be on a newer set of tyres, most likely a softer set of tyres than what Sorzady will go for, and it means that he'll be able to re-overtake Sorzady, by Sorzady obviously going for the undercut, and Aiden will most likely take that race lead back. That is unless people like Websy do get in the way and decide to disrupt the overall Haas's plan by getting in the way and giving himself more championship positions by making an overtake before pit stops really start to become a bit more of a consideration. Either way, tyres are degrading at quite a high rate. As we know, here in the Netherlands, temperature and overall degradation can be quite high, which is why we're on the C1s, 2s and 3s, the hardest in the Pirelli range, and can also mean that to be honest, I don't know. I'm waffling. It'll come back to me. Let's talk about the racing action though. Checkered flag in P4, 3.5 tenths off Websy in the McLaren, with Kick Sauber of Sir Joshi not too far behind the V-Carb. And this top 5 staying nice and close to one another, with Aiden Rizium's the furthest away from anyone at the moment, 6.5 tenths between him and his teammate. So switching between one another as we expected, and the Haas drivers will continue to most likely do that to try and stay out in front of any other driver looking to try and compete with the American constructors as a whole, because obviously Aiden's in P1, Sorzady's in P2, and they'll keep switching between. JP, who is your favourite driver? Who is your favourite Tier 1 driver, and why isn't it me? Ashton, because you suck. I'm kidding. And who's my favourite Tier 1 driver? I think as a commentator on a broadcast, I can't say. Because otherwise I'd be showing bias. I'll DM you later, and I'll give you my answer, but I think on broadcast, everyone I respect and like equally. Yep. Anyway, the Haas of Sorzady in P2, looking to still try and close down that gap at the moment. 12 laps on those soft compound tyres, so they're still continuing to degrade and wear away, and will be starting to make less time against his teammate, who maybe will be feeling slightly more comfortable on those mediums, and may also give Websy an opportunity to make an overtake that he's probably been looking for quite a considerable amount of laps now. However, if they decide to come into the pit lane, then the majority of that does get cancelled out. That is the main objective and goal for Haas here. It is imperative that they come into the pit lane in P1 and 2 because it will help in their overall position later into the race by by coming into the pits in their last previous positions. But McLaren of Websy now with DRS going into turn 1, early braking by one of the drivers gives the window, and Websy now goes into P2, and look how those medium tyres are now assisting the McLaren driver. The Papaya is practically ready to overtake Sorsity at a moment's notice, and the championship leader is ready to take the race lead away from the other drivers who have been practically hogging it for quite a while here, at least in the perspective of how maybe Websy would be seeing it. Websy yet to take the race lead, so this will be the first opportunity that we see him in P1 and maybe looking to extend his current championship lead of 48 points. And if he keeps on his run, if he keeps on his consistency, if he keeps on his pace and doesn't have races like we saw in Belgium, then maybe he can take that P2, make it a P1, pick up the race win and continue to extend that championship lead and make it slightly harder for someone like Meowsy to get the job done. And speaking of McJammy Dodge, 6-lap old hard compound tyres, and he is down in P14 at the moment, so he's going for a considerable undercut here, and I do doubt that his strategy will work out in the long run. But it is Sorsity on 13-lap old soft compound tyres coming into the pit lane. Checkered flag will now take over to P2, but may not be for too long. Aiden Rizium's nearly losing the rear end of the car there. Slight contact to checkered flag, not enough to cause damage, but that got quite close between the two drivers. Kick Sauber of Sir Joshi currently in P4. Let's have a look at different information here. There you can see who has come into the pit lane so far. One stop for the drivers more towards the rear end of the field with a complete and utter clear space of no one coming into the pit lane near towards the front end, and that is because they're on a mixture of the mediums and McJammy Dodge, who's now on those hards, who has made a stop but hasn't found the pace that he was probably expecting, has managed to undercut anyone that has come into the pit lane. Like I said, he is going for a considerable undercut here, but his tyres are wearing out, and by the time we get to lap 36, if he's staying on those hard compound tyres, will most likely find more of a disadvantage than an advantage. Devastator. What did Devastator ask me? JP, how was Valorant the other night? I've never played Valorant before, so yeah, I don't know. I've never played Valorant, so JP, do you have a younger sister or brother? I'm not picky. I don't have a sister. I have a 31-year-old married brother. How's your boyfriend, JP? I'm not gay. Can we get JP to read chat? I'm reading chat. JP, where do you live? Inside your mum. Yep, I think that's everything answered. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Websy in P2, the McLaren Twitch ban. Websy currently in P2. Could have sworn I heard you doing comms for another game. Maybe I was imagining things. Yeah, no, I only do commentary for F1 at the moment. I'm trying to get into ACC and GT7, but it's not really as big of a community as F1 is, and F1 normally is more money if the higher you make it. So, for example, if I were to do GT7, the events they do around the world, I'd be making less money than if I were to do F1 esports. Would I prefer GT7? Most likely, but now we can see also the top 3 at least, because Sir Joshi's going to stay out in the Kick Sauber and take the race lead, all coming into the pit lane on 16 and 15 lap old medium compound tyres. Guys, a new clip I made from the stream is fire. What about my question? What did Ashton say? JB fee reveal when? Soon. Give me money and it's probably possible. I love Twitch chat. Always a great experience. Never any problems at all. Aston Martin goes up to P5 and P6. Websy on a new set of those hard compound tyres, not too far off the Aston Martins for the time being. So bringing himself closer towards making an overtake almost immediately coming out of the pit lane, which is exactly what he wants. But his tyres will be cold and not up to temperature yet, so he needs to try and get the pace down, get the temps up, and make those overtakes quickly and considerable as possible, because he's got a nice long line of drivers who are yet to come in, or have come into the pits not too long ago, but a few laps older than what his tyres may be, and at this stage, 0 lap old tyres compared to 3 lap old tyres will be nothing. But let's say in a situation where, you know, Websy's on 10 lap old tyres and Tyler FF's on 13 lap old tyres, especially between mediums and hards, that starts to show you where the difference is in terms of pace and tyres. What's Twitch chat saying now? JP, when does the OnlyFans drop? Ooh, when I turn 18. Get Oscar and comms. No. Zinger box, and you have to put it in FBR General. I actually had a Zinger box last night. I had KFC last night, so yeah, there you go. That's weirdly coincidental. Tyler FF continuing to nearly go 2 abreast between him and Checkered Flag in P5, so some of these drivers on the new tyres really starting to fight away here. As we can say, there's probably a little bit more grip and pace in those mediums compared to the hards, but as the stint wears on and as we start to approach near towards the Checkered Flag and near towards lap 36, those hards will come into its element and well and truly overtake and refuge whatever those mediums were trying to do previously. But the letter P has well and truly gone for a long stint here and is not putting on any type of defense against the Haas of Saucity, who now retakes the lead of the race on 3 lap old medium compound tyres. Letter P is 17 laps now. Devastator says, yo, Zinger box reveal when? JP, is it bubblegum pink or roast beef brown? It's lipstick red. It is letter P in P2, still hunting down the Haas of Saucity. Farmer Sam in the Aston Martin, 1 second now already out of the DRS point between those two, but letter P, who's on 18 lap old medium compound tyres, most likely won't be able to put on much of a deficit difference between the Aston Martin that's on considerably newer tyres. It's on lipstick. I'm kidding. I'm kidding, it's bubblegum pink. Wait, what did I say? Anyway, moving further along here, it is Farmer Sam who's still 3/10 off the letter P in the Williams and rear diffuser, and is going to go for the inside line. That is a brave move to make in the Aston, but no problems at all, full of confidence on those newer medium compound tyres, the same age as Saucity's mediums, and going into the third and final sector, it is now the Aston Martin who faces it up into P2. Wow, well and truly done them there. Is Pro putting it in a coach? He's putting it in a straw. I wish it was, you know, I'm not going to finish that sentence. For the sake of me keeping my job here as a commentator. The Williams of the letter P currently in P3. And Sir Joshi now going wheel-to-wheel with the Williams of the letter P, who continues to fall down further positions due to his 19-lap-old medium compound tyres. And the drivers who, even if there is slight differences in terms of the tyre degradation, KLX as well, 10-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. So well and truly going bad from worse for the Mercedes driver Apollo Pepsi to follow into the pits. But even the difference in tyres by maybe 1 or 2 laps between the hards and mediums, overall drivers who have come into the pit lane more recently than, let's say, the letter P is well and truly blisteringly quicker than what that Williams can hold on. And it's more just a matter of time before overtakes are set and stone, and close margins there, but Mercedes taking the outside, which then switches to the inside, and a little bit of a scrape on the gravel there, but still manages to get up into the top 4, and the letter P will eventually need to concede and come into the pit lane, because he can't go the entire race on those mediums. They can go a long margin, but he's still staying out, he's still feeling confident, he's even got DRS here, and the Williams now goes up in the P4. Fantastic job. Uh-oh, Slam is here. Wonderful. Slammer. We are absolutely tragically commentating at the moment. It is a party with Twitch chat. It is a party here at Zandvoort, and it's just me in the comms box, so it is all alone. It's a lonely feeling. Yep, I'm waffling along here. It is V-Carb of Checkered Flag in P8, still chasing down the Williams of the letter P, who was, like we've said before, on 20-lap hold, medium compound tyres, and eventually does need to come into the pit lane. I get there's long stints, but he is really dragging this out and potentially maybe thinking about going for a bit more of a fastest lap strategy near towards the end of this race, as realistically he should have boxed earlier on so he could maybe lose less positions out, but the decision was made by the Williams. He's already lost out big time. And JP, do you have a joystick or a coin slot? Moving on, it is the Williams of letter P finally coming into the pit lane. It is Yusuf Goat who now goes into P8, Checkered Flag P7, and still a nice, good midfield fight taking place here. Websy in P6, Tyler FF and the Aston Martin in P5, and Aiden Rizium's defending against the both of them. 5-lap old hard compound tyres, so even though his tyres can probably go a longer distance, the mediums would still be feeling slightly more comfortable than what those hards will be doing, but they're starting to even out a little bit further. As I said, these 3-lap tyre difference will become more significant as their stints wear on, and we're only on lap 22 of 36, so eventually this will continue to age and age and age and age. Agree, mate, this is actually quite bad, yeah. Aston Martin of Tyler FF 4.5 tenths off the Aston Martin to the Haas of Aiden Riziums in P4, flat to the floor, pedal to the metal. And JP, do you reckon I could compete in Tier 1? Might need some handicaps for myself so it's fairer. Like possible, all tyres punctured. Yeah, I think you'd still not win that race even with punctures for everyone else on the circuit. Tyler FF up into P4, the Aston Martin on 9-lap old medium compound tyres against the hards, which are still seemingly fighting away with Tyler FF for the time being. Lap 23 of 36, flat to the floor, pedal to the metal for the Aston. I need a drink. So, Tyler FF in P5, still going wheel to wheel and two abreast with the Haas of Aiden Riziums, currently in P5, but is about to concede position to Websy in the McLaren, who now goes up into the top 5 and continues this fight and push through the field to potentially not only get onto the podium, but maybe into the race lead. It's seemingly less convincing as time goes on, and the McLaren well and truly losing less of a favour to potentially pick up this race win, but still has a good opportunity to get onto the podium. He's up into top 4 now as he makes a quick, swift and easy move with DRS down the pit straight against Tyler FF in the Aston Martin, and 4.1 seconds is the gap between P4 to P3 in the kick Sauber. That is the difference, and that is where it separates itself for the time being. Tyler FF behind, currently still sticking with the McLaren driver and hasn't lost out too much at the moment, even though he's on 10-lap old medium compound tyres, and that is still wearing away a little bit further. Those hards will eventually have the edge against the mediums, no matter how hard that Aston wants to try and push along here, and the Haas of Aiden Rizium's behind, same an age as Websy's tyres, same compound as well, and that little mistake done by Tyler FF out of the exit of turn 9 opens the door for Aiden Riziums, and up into P5 goes a Haas driver, and this is a good little test to see the difference in pace here at Zandvoort between Haas and McLaren. Websy's in P4, 4.2 seconds is the deficit between him and P3, and Haas of Aiden Riziums is still counting down and won't even have any problems inside line. Swifts around, DRS as well, and that is the difference between having clean air but no DRS, and a little bit more dirty air but with the additional help of DRS in your favour. That rear wing getting open, and Haas now up into the top 4 with McLaren now down into the top 5. Broseph Coop said, wouldn't want to hurt RB by getting a race ban, would he? Ashton says, what if Devo is hosting a watch party with his kids? Loading Rifle says he doesn't want to explain no idea what you've just said. Ashton says, finna be burned. RB will still most probably leave. Twitch chat interaction is a weird time, ladies and gentlemen. That's all we can say. Sawsity still leads out in front, even on 10-lap old medium compound tyres. We know the pace advantage is in the slightly newer, harder compound tyres that people have boxed onto, but the deficit and the gap was made originally on these older medium compound tyres because they had more pace and they had more grip in the beginning of their stint. So now Sawsity is on the firing line here. The deficit between Kick Sauber and the Haas will be 1.3 seconds, so Sir Joshi does not have a long way to really push the limits at the moment. 8-lap old hard compound tyres compared to 11-lap old medium compound tyres. Those hards will be feeling much better at this stage in the race and in this stage of the stint in comparison to what Sawsity's would be feeling like. Websy in P4 is definitely not getting onto the podium on this stage. It was 4.1 when he first got up into P4. It's now 4.7, and there's certain situations, certain corners, certain parts of the circuit where he makes up time and then he loses it out practically immediately and won't be able to gain that time back, it seems, with Aiden Rizium still applying that fair amount of pressure against the McLaren driver, making overtakes on certain parts of DRS points, but can't seem to get it done on the more technically challenging parts. Ashton says he will report the AI in a My Team race for being in AI for more than 30 seconds under SC. It's true, still trying to follow along what Twitch chat is saying here, but the Haas driver goes up into the top 4 and re-overtakes Websy, which is only going to hurt his chances of getting back onto the podium and even further. And Aiden Riziums currently goes into the top 4 and 4.5 seconds off Sir Joshi. So let's see if Aiden has any better of a chance and any bit more pace in his favour compared to Websy to get onto the podium. It still seems the deficit lies in wake in comparison to Sir Joshi, Farmer Sam, Sawsity. Let's not forget that Joshi has DRS. Same with Farmer Sam, actually not any longer, as he's now broken that 1 second deficit. And virtual safety car has been deployed due to what I can only assume is now a retirement by Mr. Cool Cars in the Red Bull, but that didn't seem to be a Red Bull DNF from before. That seemed to be maybe a potential McLaren making a mistake or two, but VSC's been deployed. No full safety car, however, so will end most likely quite shortly, and does give a few drivers an opportunity to come into the pit lane, but it's more if you want to risk potentially losing position to come out in a slightly higher position using the VSC's Delta, and Sawsity's actually reset to circuit because he's locked his front tyres, practically gone to 0 kph at pit entry, and now in P8 will continue to lose out probably more significantly than what he was originally. And I don't know who what now is, but I'm not even gonna say what he just said. And Ashton says biblical scenes. The Haas of Sawsity now going out in P12 with VSC already coming to an end and back to green flag running. His checkered flag in P6 for the V-carb driver on 11-lap old hard compound tyres. K5 M5 on 10-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. K5 now finds himself down in P16 for the Alpine team, and not really finding probably the time he wanted. Sir Joshi in P2, the Kick Sauber, still hunting down Farmer Sam at the time being. Obviously, like we said before, Sawsity previously was leading this race, but came into the pit lane, so it used to be 3 people kind of fighting along there in terms of deficit, in terms of gaps, in terms of overall pace, in terms of fighting on circuit, and now it goes down to 2 with the Kick Sauber of Sir Joshi using those slightly newer hard compound tyres to swoop around on the inside line, DRS as well, and a new race leader once again in full effect here at Zandvoort, and purple sector being shown as that we haven't really reached back markers just yet, but it is definitely starting to close up a little bit. Can I get a that from JP? Skibbity Alpha Sigma. And it is now Sir Joshi who is currently leading the race at the moment. Farmer Sam on 14 lap-old medium compound tyres. GLX Cam with a 10-second time penalty. And still just not really working in his favour for the time being. Ashton. The Aston Martin of Farmer Sam, 14 lap-old mediums, and still fighting away with Sir Joshi. Websy in P4, the McLaren 6.5 tenths off Aiden Rizium's. Daily reminder Parzival is punch. And it is Websy who is 6 tenths off him at the moment. Sir Joshi falls down to P2, even on 12 lap old hard compound tyres. Those mediums still feeling clearly just competitive in the favour for Farmer Sam and the Aston Martin. Obviously the hards are the better tyre to be on, but Sir Joshi still not having the clear competitive edge against Farmer Sam, and this is obviously helped out by the fact that Aston Martin still has DRS in his favour and keeps going back and forth due to the DRS that we are seeing at the moment. Aiden Riziums has brought it back down to 4.2 seconds. However, the Haas driver only managing the top 3 for the time being, with Websy still doing this kind of back and forth, this yin and yang between the one another, as Aiden was doing that to Websy previously, and now Websy's doing it to Aiden. So there you go, kind of gives you a better idea of that. K5M5 with a 1:10.806 in the Alpine, fastest lap now on circuit, and majority of the soft compound runners finding them slightly lower down the field, and for easy reason, Apollo Pepsi retiring, and a safety car has now been brought out on lap 30 of 36. So this now changes the whole dynamic of how this race now may be seen. Farmer Sam still holding on to P1 there, reaching a few back markers there, but you can see the Mercedes GT Black Series being brought out from its pit stop, and or pit box more specifically, and Burt Mylander in control of that one with its V8 bi-turbo engine. Ashton, shush. That's my status, shush. And it is now the Aston Martin who has just missed out on coming into the pit lane. So from Sawsedy upwards, it was pretty unlucky for these guys. From P3, P2 and P1, Farmer Sam, Sir Joshi and Sawsedy just missing out on coming into the pit lane. Even in Sawsedy's case, he may as well make the decision to come on a new set of those softs, because they will always have the edge against any type of tyre, newer C3 soft compound tyres. And it means from Aiden Riziums up towards Gerard Bott, who actually hasn't come into the pit lane, so up towards K5M5 and P16, will now have that competitive edge and will have the grip and the pace and overall tyre temp advantage. GLX Cam going on a set of mediums near towards the end. If that's because he doesn't have a new set of those soft compound tyres, unsure. Farmer Sam and Sir Joshi coming into the pit lane. Sawsedy most likely will follow, but he is on 3 lap old medium, so there's also a good chance that he'll make the decision to stay out. But will Sawsedy even retake the lead of this race here? That delta well and truly stopping and numbing that effect by quite a large margin. But Sawsedy's going to go up to P2, and it's going to get close between Farmer Sam and the Haas driver, but by the time they reach the pit exit line, it's too late, and Sawsedy only manages P2, and maybe that decision to